Did you know that most blood sugar spikes have nothing to do with what you eat at lunch or dinner? They happen in the first 60 minutes of your morning. And here's what makes this dangerous. The foods most people think are healthy breakfast choices are the exact ones triggering those spikes in the first place. Here's why this matters. Your body wakes up in a state called the dawn phenomenon. Your cortisol rises, your liver releases a small amount of glucose to get you moving, and your blood sugar is primed and ready to respond to whatever you eat first. That means your first meal of the day does one of two things. It either locks in a stable, controlled blood sugar pattern for the entire rest of the day, or it sends your glucose on a roller coaster that causes cravings, energy crashes, and fat storage that follows you all the way to dinner. I've worked with thousands of people managing blood sugar issues, some in the pre-diabetes range, some already diagnosed with type 2. And one of the fastest transformations we see is when we fix what they're eating in the morning. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 best breakfast foods that can actively stabilize your blood sugar from your very first bite, what each one does inside your body, and exactly how to use them so you don't accidentally cancel out the benefit. And at the end, I'll share the one thing I do on mornings when I don't have time to sit down and eat, a 60-second morning ritual that can actually blunt a blood sugar spike before it even starts. Before we get into it, I need a quick favor. If you're watching this video, make sure to hit subscribe. It will be the payoff to my hard work and research I did for making such type of science-based health content for you. Drop a comment, done. I'll thank every single one who comment this. All right, let's get into it. Food 1, eggs, fix the blood sugar roller coaster that starts before 10 a.m. Number 1, let me start with the biggest mistake I see people make at breakfast. And this one surprises most people because it has nothing to do with eating something bad. You eat breakfast, you feel fine for a while, and then sometime around 10 o'clock or 10:30, it hits you. You're tired, you can't focus, you feel a little shaky, maybe irritable, and suddenly you're craving something sweet or reaching for another coffee just to get through the next couple of hours. That's not low willpower. That's what happens after your blood sugar spikes and then crashes. And the reason it happened has everything to do with what you ate first. Most breakfast foods, even the ones marketed as healthy, are high in fast-digesting carbohydrates. Oatmeal packets, whole wheat toast, granola, smoothie bowls, even fruit juice. These break down quickly into glucose. Glucose floods your bloodstream. Your pancreas releases a surge of insulin to deal with it, and then your blood sugar drops below baseline. That drop is what causes the crash. And when blood sugar crashes, your body sends hunger hormones to bring it back up, which is why you're raiding the kitchen by mid-morning, even though you just ate. The fix starts with protein and fat first. And the most powerful breakfast food for stabilizing blood sugar from your very first bite is eggs. Here's what happens when you eat eggs. The protein and fat digest slowly. That slows glucose absorption across everything else you eat alongside them. But here's the deeper layer most people miss. Eggs are rich in an amino acid called leucine. Leucine triggers your muscle cells to absorb glucose directly from your bloodstream without requiring a large insulin response. That matters because muscle tissue is actually your body's single largest glucose disposal unit. The more your muscles are actively pulling glucose in, the less insulin your pancreas needs to release, and the flatter your blood sugar curve stays after the meal. Research comparing egg-based breakfasts to cereal-based breakfasts with identical calorie counts found that the egg group had significantly lower post-meal blood sugar and insulin levels. They also stayed full for hours longer. But here's something most people get completely wrong about eggs. They throw away the yolk, and that's exactly the mistake you don't want to make. The yolk contains the fats, the fat-soluble vitamins, and a compound called choline, which supports your liver's ability to process and clear glucose more efficiently. When people eat only egg whites, they're removing the exact part that helps moderate the blood sugar response. Research shows that whole eggs produce about 40% greater metabolic benefit than egg whites alone, even when protein intake is identical. That surprised researchers because it means something inside the yolk is amplifying the signal, not just adding protein. To use eggs for blood sugar control, aim for 2 to 3 whole eggs in the morning. Cook them however you prefer. Scrambled, poached, over easy. I cook mine in a little grass-fed butter for healthy fat and flavor. Pair them with sautéed spinach or sliced avocado, and you have a breakfast that keeps blood sugar stable for hours. Just don't pair them with sugary cereal, juice, or white toast with jam. That cancels out the stabilizing effect almost entirely. The eggs are doing the work. Don't undo it with what you eat alongside them. For number 2, let me talk about something that works very differently from protein, but may actually be even more powerful for stopping blood sugar spikes before they start. Have you ever eaten a breakfast that felt perfectly healthy, avocado toast, some fruit, a green smoothie, and still felt that familiar crash 2 hours later? You did everything right, and it still happened. Here's what's going on. Even in a meal with good ingredients, there can be enough fast-digesting carbohydrates to cause a meaningful spike. And if there's nothing physically slowing down how fast that glucose enters your bloodstream, blood sugar still rises faster than it should. Food 2, chia seeds, block the spike physically before it reaches your bloodstream. That's where chia seeds come in. And what they do in your digestive tract is genuinely remarkable. Chia seeds contain a type of soluble fiber called mucilage. When chia seeds absorb liquid, which they start doing the moment they hit your stomach, they expand and form a thick, viscous gel. That gel physically coats the lining of your digestive tract, slowing the movement of food through your system and creating a barrier between the digestive enzymes and the carbohydrates they're trying to break down. The result? Glucose enters your bloodstream more slowly. Your insulin response is blunted. Instead of a sharp spike followed by a crash, you get a slow, gradual rise that your body handles without stress. In one clinical study, adding just 1 tablespoon of chia seeds to a meal reduced the post-meal blood sugar response by up to 39%. Not from a full serving, just 1 tablespoon. And participants reported significantly greater fullness afterward, which meant they naturally ate less at the next meal. Here's the deeper layer most people miss about chia seeds and blood sugar. It's not just about slowing digestion in the moment. Chia seeds are also rich in alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Over time, regular omega-3 consumption has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. So you're getting a short-term blood sugar blunting effect at every meal and a long-term improvement in how your cells respond to insulin. To use chia seeds for breakfast, aim for 1 to 2 tablespoons. Stir them into your Greek yogurt, add them to a smoothie, or make a chia seed pudding the night before. 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, half a cup of unsweetened almond or coconut milk. Stir, cover, and refrigerate overnight. In the morning, you have a ready-to-eat breakfast. Add berries on top, and it becomes one of the most blood sugar protective meals you can start your day with. One important note, don't eat them dry. They can become difficult to swallow, and you also lose most of the gel benefit. Let them soak for at least 10 to 15 minutes before eating. That's when the real food 3, avocado, the fat that lowers your blood sugar instead of raising it. Number 3 is something a lot of people are still afraid to eat for breakfast, and I understand why. Because everything we were told about fat and blood sugar for the past 30 years was wrong. For decades, people were told that fat raises blood sugar, that fat is the enemy, that stable glucose means eating low fat. So, when they see avocado on a blood sugar list, it feels counterintuitive. Too many calories, too much fat, it must cause a problem. But here's what the research actually shows, and this changes how you should be building every breakfast. Not all fats behave the same way inside your body. Avocado is loaded with a specific type of fat called oleic acid, a monounsaturated fatty acid that does something very different from other fats once it reaches your cells. Oleic acid activates genes inside your muscle cells that are responsible for glucose uptake and fat oxidation. It tells your cells to become more sensitive to insulin, meaning they respond more effectively and require less of it to do the same job. And when insulin stays lower and more stable, your blood sugar curve flattens. But there's another layer here that most people completely miss. When you eat avocado alongside carbohydrates, even moderate ones, the fat slows what's called gastric emptying. That's the rate at which food leaves your stomach and moves into your small intestine, where glucose is absorbed. When gastric emptying slows, glucose enters your bloodstream more gradually. The spike that would have happened fast now happens slowly, in a range your body handles easily. In one clinical study, Adding half an avocado to a standard meal produced a 23% reduction in post-meal insulin levels compared to the same meal without avocado. And participants reported feeling satisfied for an average of 4 to 6 hours afterward. For adults over 40, this matters even more. As we age, insulin sensitivity naturally declines, which is part of why blood sugar problems tend to develop in middle age, even when diet hasn't changed dramatically. Avocado's oleic acid specifically targets this age-related insulin resistance, which means the older you are, the more important this food becomes. To use avocado for breakfast, aim for half to one whole avocado. Slice it next to your eggs, mash it on a piece of sprouted grain bread, blend it into a smoothie for a creamy, stable base. The key is to pair it with foods that contain carbohydrates, because that's when the gastric emptying effect does its most important work. Just don't pair it with high sugar foods and expect it to cancel them out. It won't. Avocado slows the response to moderate carbohydrates. It is not a permission slip for a bowl of granola and flavored yogurt. Food 4. Berries. The fruit that actually fights. Blood sugar and why most fruit. Doesn't let me ask you something. Have you ever been eating fruit in the morning, told that it's healthy, and still had your blood sugar go out of control? You followed the advice, and it still happened. If that's your experience, you're not doing anything wrong. You just weren't given the full picture. Here's the truth that most nutrition advice skips over. Not all fruit behaves the same way inside your body. A ripe banana can spike your blood sugar almost as fast as a bowl of white rice. Mango, grapes, pineapple, high in natural sugar, low in fiber, fast to digest. Most people lump all fruit into the healthy category without ever questioning it. But berries are fundamentally different, and the reason is a group of plant compounds called anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are what give blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and strawberries their deep red, blue, and purple colors. But inside your digestive tract, they do something far more important. Anthocyanins inhibit an enzyme called alpha-glucosidase, the enzyme responsible for breaking down complex carbohydrates into glucose. When that enzyme is inhibited, starch-to-sugar conversion slows significantly, and glucose enters your bloodstream much more gradually. Here's the deeper layer most people never hear about. Anthocyanins don't just slow the current meal, they improve insulin sensitivity over time. In a study of 2,734 identical twins, same genetics, same upbringing, same environment, the twins who consumed the most anthocyanin-rich foods had significantly lower insulin resistance and meaningfully less visceral belly fat. Same DNA, different blood sugar response, based entirely on what they ate. Blueberries specifically have been shown in clinical trials to improve insulin sensitivity by up to 22% over just 6 weeks of regular consumption. And this effect was seen even in participants who were already overweight or had elevated blood sugar, meaning it's not just preventative, it's corrective. Now here's where a lot of people make a costly mistake. They think if berries are healthy, berry products must be too. A berry-flavored yogurt, a fruit smoothie, a berry jam on toast. Not the same thing, not even close. When you eat a whole berry, you get the anthocyanins, the fiber, and the natural sugar all packaged together in a way that slows absorption. When you drink a berry juice or smoothie, you've removed the fiber. The sugar hits your bloodstream fast, and there's nothing to slow it down. And most commercial berry products have added sugar on top of the natural sugar. That's the worst of both worlds. For breakfast, aim for 1 cup of whole berries, fresh or frozen. Both work equally well. Frozen berries retain all of their anthocyanin content and cost a fraction of fresh. Add them to your Greek yogurt, stir them into overnight oats, or eat them straight alongside your eggs. They are one of the most cost-effective blood sugar tools you can keep in your kitchen. Food. 5. Plain, full-fat Greek yogurt, the gut connection. Most people never hear about. And number 5, I want you to think about this differently than you probably do right now. Most people think of Greek yogurt as simply a protein food. High protein, good for muscle, reasonably filling. And that's all true. But what's happening inside your gut when you eat high-quality Greek yogurt goes far beyond protein, and it directly shapes how your body manages blood sugar for the rest of the day. Here's a pattern I see constantly. You eat breakfast and it feels fine. An hour later, you're thinking about food again. 2 hours in, you're genuinely hungry. By the time lunch arrives, you eat more than you planned, faster than you should, with more carbohydrates than intended. And that bigger lunch, eaten quickly, causes a larger blood sugar spike than breakfast ever would have. This cycle repeats every single day for millions of people, and most never connect the overeating at lunch back to what they didn't eat at breakfast. Plain, full-fat Greek yogurt with no added sugar, no fruit on the bottom, no flavoring, breaks the cycle in two distinct ways. First, the casein protein in Greek yogurt is slow digesting. Unlike whey protein, which digests quickly and creates a rapid amino acid spike, casein forms a gel-like structure in your stomach that releases amino acids gradually over 3 to 4 hours. That steady release keeps your satiety hormones elevated far longer than a fast-digesting protein would, which means you're simply not hungry again as quickly. But here's the deeper layer, and this is the part most people never hear about. High-quality Greek yogurt contains live probiotic bacterium, and those bacterium do something remarkable inside your gut that directly affects your blood sugar. When the right strains are present and well-fed, gut bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds that improve how your muscle cells respond to insulin. A healthier gut environment makes your cells more insulin sensitive, which means your body needs less insulin to manage the same amount of glucose. In a large meta-analysis covering over 14 randomized controlled trials, daily consumption of probiotic yogurt was associated with significant reductions in fasting blood sugar, insulin levels, and insulin resistance markers. In participants with elevated blood sugar or prediabetes, the effect was even more pronounced. Here's something most people don't realize. The probiotics in Greek yogurt also increase your body's natural production of GLP-1, the same blood sugar and satiety hormone targeted by Ozempic and Wegovy. Except the yogurt does it through your gut, naturally, with no side effects for a few dollars a week. In large twin studies, same genetics, same upbringing, the twins who regularly consumed probiotic-rich foods had meaningfully lower insulin resistance and better glucose regulation than their siblings. Identical DNA, different metabolic outcomes based on the gut environment their food choices created. To use Greek yogurt correctly for blood sugar control, have 1 cup of plain, unsweetened, full-fat yogurt. Always check the label for the words live and active cultures. And look at the sugar content. Many flavored yogurts contain 20 to 30 grams of added sugar. That is more than a chocolate bar. That amount of sugar doesn't cancel out the benefit. It actively spikes your blood sugar and shuts down fat burning for hours afterward. Once you have the plain version, you can build real flavor without the blood sugar consequences. Add your cup of berries, a tablespoon or 2 of chia seeds, and a pinch of Ceylon cinnamon. That single bowl delivers protein, probiotics, anthocyanins, soluble fiber, and a natural blood sugar stabilizing compound all at once. It is one of the most powerful blood sugar breakfasts you can build. If you want to add extra protein without spiking insulin, stir in a scoop of Crêpe Friends. No sugar, no spike, and it makes the yogurt taste significantly better. I'll include a link in the description for anyone interested. Now here's what I promised you at the beginning. What do I do on mornings when I don't have time to sit down and eat? When I'm moving fast, I'm not hungry, or I just need something quick before I get going? And once you understand the science behind it, you'll see exactly why it works. Here is my 60-second blood sugar morning ritual. Once you understand the science behind it, you'll see exactly why it works. 12 ounces of warm water, 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar, a 1/4 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, a squeeze of fresh lemon, stir it and drink it about 20 minutes before breakfast. Here's what's happening in your body when you do this. The acetic acid in apple cider vinegar inhibits an enzyme called alpha amylase, one of the main digestive enzymes responsible for converting starch into glucose. It's a similar mechanism to how certain type 2 diabetes medications work, except this is a food compound, not a pharmaceutical. Studies show that vinegar consumed before a meal can reduce the post-meal blood sugar spike by 20 to 30%. Ceylon cinnamon, specifically Ceylon, not the common cassia variety sold in most grocery stores, contains compounds that act like insulin at the cellular level. They make your cell receptors more responsive to insulin without raising insulin itself. In multiple clinical trials, Ceylon cinnamon supplementation reduced fasting blood sugar by 10 to 29% over 40 days. Together, these two work on blood sugar from two completely different angles. One slows the breakdown of starch into glucose, the other improves how your cells absorb it. Used consistently as a morning ritual before your first meal, they create a lower blood sugar baseline that the 5 foods then build on. It is not a replacement for a real breakfast, but on busy mornings, it is one of the most effective things you can do in 60 seconds. Now here's the part most people miss. You could eat all 5 of these foods every single morning: eggs, chia seeds, avocado, berries, and Greek yogurt, perfectly chosen and perfectly prepared. And you can still experience blood sugar spikes, because what you eat is only one piece of the equation. There are 3 morning behaviors that directly control your blood sugar baseline before you ever take a bite. Your sleep quality the night before, your physical movement in the first hour after waking, the timing of your first meal relative to your natural cortisol peak. And most people are unknowingly getting all 3 wrong every single day. If you want to make sure your breakfast is actually working the way it's designed to, watch my other video, 3 Morning Habits to Keep Blood Sugar Low. All day, in it, I'll show you the non-negotiable daily behaviors that determine whether your body stays in a stable blood sugar state, and the one invisible morning mistake that cancels out even the best food choices before breakfast even starts. The link is right here. Click to watch it next, and I'll see you there.